Welcome everybody to the 17th Cash Health Teaching Workshop. The topic for this workshop will be the liver as the MagGrav storage bank. And today, once again, we'll be with Dr. Elia Kostova, who will guide us through the wonders of the body, the anatomy part of the liver, and bringing that together with the idea of the MagGrav storage bank. And then we'll hear from Mr. Mayran Kesh of the Kesh Foundation, and he will take time to show us his point of view on the MagGrav aspects of that. Okay, let's get into the workshop here. Ellie, are you there?
Yes, hello everybody. It's me, Elia, and nice to be with you and the 7th Health Teaching Workshop. Today the subject is liver, and liver like a MagGrav storage bank in our body. We start with the first slide. It's a slide to remember you where is the position of the liver. How you know, we have abdomen cavity, and inside of abdomen cavity we have two star formations, how we spoke in the previous workshop. And the liver, this is the organ which belongs to the star formation, organized between the liver, stomach, part of the large intestine, and the spleen, output system, and the pancreas. In that star formation, which is like inner star formation with other one formed between the kidney and bladder, the liver play a role like a heart of the star formation in the chest area, how it's heart and the two lungs. In that formations, the lungs will be stomach and the part of the large intestine. So the liver is, how we say it, this is so similar, like a shape, like color, and function regarding circulation like a heart. Also, during the explanation of the workshop, you will see they have origin in the embryology on the place where they are so close to each other. In that star formation, placed inside of abdomen cavity, the BZ it will facing from the right to left, and how we say we need that formation just to make the vortex, because in that area we digest material state of matter, solid matter, and the function of digestive system, and to convert the solid matter state to the gas state. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Next slide is embryology of the liver. In the embryo, how you see, in the 36th week of embryo development appears the liver on the foregut tube in embryo. On the left side, you see how I told you the origin place of liver and heart, they are so close to each other. Actually, they face each other, and how you see they face in the same way the thalamus. So mostly of the hearts, how we call the hearts in star formations, they are on the line even in embryology state and facing each other. From the beginning, you see on the embryo, the shape of heart and shape of liver, they are so similar. On the left side, it's visible for you the foregut and the origin place of liver, gallbladder, the bile duct, and the pancreas and the duodenum. They're on the line, which consider the common function in digestive and in digestive system and metabolic function for the solid matter what we use in our in our oldest age, because from the beginning, how you know, we start with foods, how I told you, and then we go to the liquid state of milk, and then we start to to use solid state of matter through our digestive system. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Next slide. It's explanation of the function of the liver. This is the main solid organ in our body and have nearly 500 different functions. And I just put several of them on the slide, which is important for you to understand the main function of the liver. And the liver, it's behave like a solid organ and also like a gland. This is so important to know. So we start with the blood supply. Actually, liver have supplying of the blood from two systems. This is from the hepatic portal vein and from hepatic arteries. And hepatic portal vein supply to liver 75% of the blood, and this is blood is collected from all the splanchal organs. This is organs inside of abdomen cavity, and the organ which is in lower part of our body. All that vein blood collected inside of the vena porta go inside of the liver through the hepatic portal vein. In other hand, the liver get the blood flow from the aorta through the hepatic arteries. So the blood supply to the liver is from two parts, from vein and from artery part of our circulatory system. And this is important to know because it is supplying for the nutrient materials to the liver, and in other hand with supplying the oxygen to the liver. Then this is the biliary flow. The liver, this is the place where our bile was origin, and the supply through the biliary duct and to the common duct of the biliary system and the pancreas. They go inside of the duodenum through the ampulla vateri. Have a lot of synthesis function. Liver, this is the place of synthesis of amino acid, carbon hydrate. This is like synthesis and all the metabolism of carbohydrates. In Latin language, more common is gluconeogenesis, glucogenesis, and glucogenesis. This is different state of metabolism of carbohydrates. Inside of the liver is also happen protein metabolism, lipid, all of the coagulation factors, they origin from the liver. Coagulation factors, this is the factors which support your coagulation of the elements of your blood. Also, we have a feeding system to the fetus in the first trimester of the embryo development of the fetus, and this is the place where starts to producing the red blood cells, and after the first trimester of embryology, the bone marrow take a main role of producing the blood cells. Liver, this is the place where produce the bile. This is the main liquid what contain all the enzymes needed to digest digesting of the solid matter of state in our digestive system. Insulin growing factor. This is important growing factor. Is not only for insulin like a hormone, but for all the development of our human body after we born. Thrombopoietin is a important peptide which protect and support the function of the bone marrow. Other function is the breakdown systems which are presented in the liver. This is the system for hormones, bilirubin, detoxification of the toxic substance and the drugs. Also convert the ammonium to urea. And how you know the ammonium is the most toxic substance for our brain. Other function of the liver, this is the place where is a storage base for glucose from glycogen, for vitamin A, D, B12, and vitamin K, iron, and copper. And how you see the main elements what the liver store is iron and copper. And I think you're not surprised about that. The liver is responsible for immune system. In the liver is presented the reticular endothelium system, what is the part of our immune system. Also produce the albumin. This is the main protein which support the major osmolar homeostasis in our blood serum. And synthesis of angiotensin. This is the main substance which regulate our blood pressure. So this is the less main functions of the liver. How I told you there are more than 500. Then we go to the next slide. Now I'm on the 7. Thank you. Yeah, on the 7. Thank you. 7. Okay. On the 7th slide is visible for you how goes the circulation to the liver. So you see that the circulation comes from aorta, feeding all the splanchnial organs inside of abdomen area, and through them, like in venous part of the circulatory, vein part of the circulatory, go inside of the liver in the place of sinusoid, and from aorta directly with a hepatic artery goes the oxygen flow of the blood. And then after convert of all the blood flows inside of the liver in the sinusoid, all the blood go through the vena cava inferior and to the right part of the heart. So this is one more connection between two-star formation and actually the hearts of two-star formations in thoracic area and in the abdomen area. Then we go to the 8th slide. The 8th slide is anatomical view of the liver, and mainly the liver separates to the left and right lobe, and one more which is behind, more close to the kidney and renal gland. Also have inside of the right and left lobe separation in more small lobes. That separation is regarding the circulation system inside of the liver. Each of that small 8 lobes is fed from hepatic artery, from a vein part from hepatic portal vein, from the nerve branch, from have inside the bile ductus, and also the lymph vessel. And because of that separation, actually the liver have 8 main lobes. And how you see, it is again pyramidal structure of the organ. On the right side, you see circulatory system inside, how it's make some kind of net. And what I told you, that is so important, that have inside of the organ connection between the oxygen and non-oxygen blood. And on that sense, the liver is the main filter of our blood. In the structure of the liver, in the microscopic view, this is the lobula, and how you see it is little down on the left side is a so similar shape of the reactor. This is the central structure of the liver, each lobula. And the anatomy of the lobula, actually it is the important for all the functions of the liver. Architecture of the lobula and how they positioning to each other make possible liver to have 500 functions. Then we go to the next slide. This is number 8. For that slide is more microscopic view of each lobula. And in the middle of that structure, how you see, this is the same hexagonal structure. In the middle of that structure, lobula, we have hepatic vein. And around it's surrounded from the branches of portal vein. And how I told you, this is the flow of non-oxygenated blood, but full with nutrients. And each branch of portal vein goes with artery from the hepatic artery, and with bile duct and the lymph vessel also. This is the main structure of the liver. This is the main part of it. And how each part, how each lobe positioning to other one, organize all the functions inside. On the right side, you see how all the vessels inside of that structure, they're fenestrated. Vein part, artery part, bile duct, all of them, they have different kind of fenestration. But and the bile duct start from each cell, what we call for liver hepatic cell, with caniculi. They also have different kind of fenestration. Fenestration is different holes inside of the structure of the wall of each vessel, and regarding the diameter of that hole, different kind of materials are able to exchange between inside and outside that wall. So the fenestration of the vein system, of the artery system, the lymph system, and bile system in each main structure of the liver, called lobula, is different. So it means liver are able to accept and transcend different kind of materials because of different fenestrations inside of the vessels. And on the right side, the smallest one picture, you see how actually even the erythrocytes are able to go out and in of each lobular structure because of that fenestration. Okay, and actually this is the same how you make nanotubes. This is some kind of layering of the canicula or the vessel walls, and also it's not only layering of different materials, because of the vessels, how they have connective tissue from the beginning, and then they have a wall of muscles, how I told you before, that smooth muscles, and they have a mucus part. This is the three-part layering in all the structure in our body. But also they have a different kind of walls inside, which what give them ability to squeeze and to reorganize the layering also. And in that sense, they're able to transcend different strength of guns, or in the molecular level, different kind of molecules. Then we go to the 10th slide. 10th slide, this is the how I call the cake piece of lobula. You see, from the beginning, this is the hepatic venule. This is like some kind of leg, and all the venous non-oxygenated blood from abdomen area come there, and then like a flow between the hepatic cells reach all the part of the lobula and communicate with the branch of portal vein. So in that structure, we have direct communication between the non-oxygenated blood full of nutrients and with oxygenated blood. So actually this is the place where the oxygen reach the nutrients and all the metabolism start. This is like you need to open the door of stove to have more oxygen and to fire to go more strong. Okay, and on the right side of that slide, I just want to show you correlation to have more clear view how have a connection between the artery and vein during the capillary net. And in the capillary net we have the artery part and venous part, and there starts to exchange the blood and nutrient in the tissue. This is the same like in that part, that piece of the lobula, where you have connection between the non-oxygenated blood from the venous system coming through the hepatic portal vein and between the hepatic artery inside of each piece of the lobula. This is exactly like you separate the cake in different pieces. This is the shape, and that is the organization inside of the lobula. Okay, then we go to the next slide. This is number 11. In the 11th slide is visible for you positioning of each lobula to each other. How you see they make a specific shape, and that shape is between them, and also they make a shape because of the blood flow. When you need to feed the system, the blood come from hepatic vein full of nutrients. Then this is the dynamic structure. And then when the process inside of the lobula finish and all the nutrients, they are organized and transformed, and the blood supposed to go in the next part of the body, heart, take the other one shape because of the flow, go to the hepatic artery and the hepatic vein, and vice versa. So the flow organize itself different kind of shapes also, and in that sense in anatomy have different names of organization between the lobula and cells inside of the lobula. I will not keep you busy with all the names, but like geometrical point of view, just see how itself structure, like material level of organization of the matter, make a cells. They are organized in the common structure lobula, how this lobula positioning itself like a reactors to organize the main function of the organ, and then flow of the blood also organize different kind of shapes inside of the same structure. If you remember the Platonic solid, actually in that small part of the liver we call lobula, blood flow and organization like a shape of each lobula, they represent all of the Platonic solid state of matter. So it's mean that inside of the lobula we are able to transform matter through plasma and then to the gas state, and also we are able to organize the gas state in different strength, because all the time matter state convert itself in different shapes. Okay, then we go to the next slide, number 12. This is the same, just to see again organization of the lobula to each other. And on the right side, this is actually how, if you make the cross section through the circulatory port, you see that is the shape of the tree, and how tree have a root, and then the root have a branches, and then the branches have a leaves. And 1, 2, 3, it is the different kind of separation of the flow. This is regarding how what is the diameter of, in Latin actually we call laguna. This is the same like a lake have and river go inside of the sea or in some lake and organize the shape of the earth like laguna and then channelize in more small flow. This is the same actually here representing with the blood flow, and because of diameter of that channels we are organize the flow in the zona 1, 2 and 3, and actually to the end is reaching the part where they exchange the oxygen. It is the same like in tree with leaves. On the bottom you see, this is microscopic view how actually happened that exchange between the oxygen and not oxygen blood and exchange of nitrogens between two flows inside of the lobula. If you remember the shape of the leaf, this is the same shape. You have again layering, 3 layers, and exchanging of matter in between 2 walls. Okay, then we go to the next slide. The next slide, it is again a representation of the same model, and to compare with you what actually the Vitur made a shape of cells with gas inside. communication between the each lobula inside of the liver. They have the same communication how the Vito represent with his model of the GANS materials. They connect to each other, inform each other what process now happen in each lobula, and finally they have a common result. This is exactly the same shape. Okay, then next slide, number 14. This is the electronic microscopic view of the caniculi inside of the liver, the vessel also, and in the vessel you see the erythrocytes and antibodies, and it's visible for you to see that fenestration inside of the wall, different kind of fenestration of different kind of vessels. So our body is the perfect machine. Okay, then we go to the 15th slide. The 15th slide, this is a 3D model of each cell of our body. And mostly cells have a spheric shape, have a nucleus, and different kind of organelles inside. But the battery place, the place where all the energy origin in our body, the name of that organelle is mitochondrium. On that picture is in green color for you. It's similar or the shape of sausage. Then we go to the next slide. The next slide is the microscope view of mitochondrium. It is again on the right side. You see that even the organelle, smaller part of our body, organelle of the cell, have the same shape, so similar to the reactor, have layering of the wall, and also separation in between in different kind of holes with walls. And also that walls in the middle, they also have a layering. And all the process, they are inside of that cavity and happen between different walls. So some biochemical process, they belongs to the one part of mitochondrium, and other biological and biochemical process, they happen in the middle of the mitochondrium or other in different part. This is completely perfect battery to producing the energy. All our energy finally, the main point where we produce our energy, this is the mitochondrium and the nano-coated walls of mitochondrium. Then we go to the next slide. On that slide, I want to make comparing between the leaf again, and how you see the lobula is on the shape of leaf, and exchanging the blood flow and nutrition and oxygen is also on the same way in the lobula, how in between two cuticula of the leaf. The main energy source on the leaf, this is the chloroplast, and how you see organization of the chloroplast is again layering on the part and the construction of layering. And if you compare with mitochondrium, this is the same structure. Mitochondria have just invagination inside of the inner wall with layers of that wall again. Okay. Then we go to the next slide. Next slide is microscopic view of mitochondrium and all the metabolic process inside of liver. They happen inside of mitochondrium. So here it's a representation of glycolysis, how the glucose separate to different state in lysis and finally reach the pyruvate state and go inside of the cycle of Krebs. Main meaning of that process is to produce energy. When the glucose separates and comes down to the point of water and hydrogen, during all the process, we release energy. And how you see on the right side, there are different energetic components where they are formed during that lysis. We call ATP, and we have one more in our body. This is the NADH. So, from all that process to reach finally the water and oxygen, we release totally 38 ATP molecules, energy, and oxygen, and 12 molecules of hydrogen and 6 molecules of water. So actually, this is the one of main chemical process which happen in our mitochondrium to produce our energy. Okay, then we go to the next slide. The next slide is a small chemical view of lysis of glucose and how all other elements there go inside of that process. So the metabolism of fat and the metabolism of amino acid, they reach point, some part of them lysis, where they reach the substance which include inside of the glycolysis process and of cycle of Krebs. Because on the end, the goal, what we want to reach is to produce our energy on the way of ATP, hydrogen, and water. And because of that, we eat actually matter, and we eat and we need all the nutrients like a fat, like a protein, and like a carbohydrates. Because of all them digestions and chemical metabolism, finally we get energy. Okay, then we go to the next slide, 20. That is the microaerobic metabolism inside of mitochondrium. It means that is the metabolism supporting of oxygen, because we have also state of metabolism which is not related with oxygen or less amount of oxygen, but they are so slow, and the result is so less. So main energy what we have is after the metabolism of all the nutrients and finally reach the cycle of Krebs and to produce the ATP, hydrogen and water. Also on the right side of that slide you see the Cori cycle. The Cori cycle is representing to you actually when we supposed to store some kind of material, on that way glucose, we store in liver. How I explain it to you in the function of liver. So the complex which store the glucose is glycogen, and we store that substance in our liver and in our muscles. And then when we have excess of stress and exercise of our body, we start to exchange that substance between two systems, liver cells and muscle cells. And it is again one representation to you that our body is completely sustainable. Also, regarding the energy anatomy, Chinese medicine, liver and muscles, they have common, they belongs to the energy of air, and actually they're under control of liver meridian. So even in anatomy, you see they have a common function between them. Okay, then we go to the next slide. '21. 21 is representation for amino acid metabolism, and how you see the amino acid finally they go inside of carbohydrates metabolism, they reach the point, or go inside like urea. On the right side, this is the lipolytic metabolism of your fat and how the lipolysis connecting again with cycle of Krebs and the cycle of carbohydrates. So actually, amino acid and fat, they supposed to transform to the state of carbohydrates metabolism, and then the substance go to the cycle of Krebs and so on. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Next slide is number 22. This is the picture of mitochondrium and how the nutrients flow in the channels, in the canicula, and how actually the way between the portal vein and the central vein, they form reactor shape. And you see, this is actually how you positioning two end of that formation. This is like a two head. You achieve different kind of structure, how I show on the previous slide. They organize the structure of the lobula and the structure of the flow in different shape regarding the platonic solid. And on the right side, you see during the metabolism and producing or dissolving the ATP, how much we release or uptake or intake the hydrogen. So actually the main fuel for our body is the hydrogen, with finger point to our DNA. the phosphor inside of the ATP. So our reactors inside in our mitochondrium, this is the main our reactor in our cells and in our body, use uptake or intake the hydrogen. Okay, then we go to the next slide. The next slide is its representation what we actually do. We eat, we metabolize all the solid matter to only one goal, to reach energy, to get energy. And our energy is our ATP and hydrogen. And actually, our brain on the right side of the slide is able to feed and to eat only the glucose and one part of the amino acid, but they transform to the glucose. Actually, the main fuel for our brain, this is the carbohydrate glucose. And because of that, all the biochemical process of the glucose inside of liver, they are so important to give us energy. Okay. Then we go to the next slide. 24. 24, this is the schematic view how we use the energy of proteins, carbohydrates, and lipids, and what kind of energy during the time they give us. So how you see from the beginning, the carbohydrates, this is the energy what they give us from the beginning, like a quick start. So if you need a flash of energy, if you need energy for a short time, just to have the carbohydrates and all the biochemistry regarding the carbohydrates give us the quick energy release. Proteins, they are more like a plateau releasing the energy, because how you see, they supposed to metabolize to the point, to reach that point in them metabolism, to go inside of the cycle of Krebs, or to include like a part of the carbohydrate metabolism. That's why they are like our depot of energy fuel. And lipid, they are so slow down releasing energy in a way, again, they include their metabolism to the point to reach that part of carbohydrate lysis and to reach the cycle of Krebs, and finally to get the hydrogen, ATP, and water. So because of that, how all these substances release the energy in our body, we need to intake them in our system, because we need the quick start of energy from the carbohydrates and like a plateau release from a protein, and for long-term releasing of energy, this is the lipid. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Next slide, it's regarding the Chinese medicine. I show to you just because have a correlation of energy flow, that the liver and the bladder, there are two-part meridians like a liver and gallbladder, but it's so interesting to know that the sensor organ for these two meridians is eyes. And the meridian of gallbladder start from eyes and cover all the half part of the head. And actually, we have eating from the beginning with our eyes the fields of light, and with our liver we digest and transform the material state of matter to the gas state. So even in the previous ancient time, the healers and the science, they make so correct connection between the different part of our body. Then we go to the next slide. And the next slide is like we are sitting in front of our body, and our body is able to make so precise and so complex calculations for everything. Even we are not able to understand what is going on and how it's possible our body to compare, to convert, and to organize all of that so complex process inside of us. But finally we reach our century, and thanks to the Keshe Foundation technology, we start to understand what is going on with us and start to replicate different parts of our systems, like star formations with armament made is like shape, different kind of shape of organization of cell of nanomaterials to reach production of different substance or of light, like a CO2 kit, and like our lovely Coca-Cola bottle. And because we love that Coca-Cola bottle, all of us, I will ask Rick just to play a video about. Thank you.
To cache, the physical interactions and events which are forced inside a plasma reactor are similar or identical to those that happen over a longer time scale on micro and macro level in the universe, like the formation of stars and galaxies, supernovas, black holes, dark matter, gravitational effects, radiation, fission, fusion, and so on. Nuclear engineer Cash demonstrated with a non-acidic liquid inside a simple waste bottle used as a plasma reactor that it is possible to create energy and that atomic carbon layers can be deposited on the inside electrodes, which is confirmed by leading institutes in Europe.
So how you see the Coca-Cola bottle is exactly like a mitochondrium. And finally, in mitochondrium, we reach a huge amount of hydrogen, ATP, and water. So it is the same representation of the process inside of Coca-Cola bottle. So this is from my side. Thank you for attention. If you have some questions, please ask me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elia. Okay, do we have any questions on the Skype call over on what Elia has covered here today?
I did see a question on the live stream, and that was how do we clean the liver?
That seems like a good question. How
It
do we
means how
clean the liver?
we detoxicate the liver. Yeah,
Yes.
have absolutely different kind of process to detoxicate a liver, and the first one is to what you eat. So with your diet, you are able to uptake inside of the system the correct substance of solid matter, and then the liver will be transformed to the GAN state so easy. And so many healing practices and so on. But the first thing is what kind of food you eat, because this is your fuel in matter state.
Okay. What about fasting, going without food? How does that affect the liver? Is that a way to cleanse the liver as well?
Yeah, during the fasting, you start to glucagonolysis. So it means you start to produce more the glucose, and actually the energy state of the liver increase during the fasting. But it is again regarding the state of all your system. You cannot fast for a so long time. Do you understand?
I found that when I fasted for 10 days with a basic drink, I had more energy than any point in my life.
Yeah, because the glucogenolysis start the storage of the glucagon starts to be leasing, demolishing to the point of the glucose, and glucose go in the cycle of the carbohydrate metabolism, and then finally, how you saw on the cycle of Krebs, you receive energy. Do you understand? It is because of that. You're welcome.
Hello?
Hello? Okay.
We have some problem connection today, so I just joined you now.
Okay, well, we can hear you.
Clear?
We're not clear yet. We'll have to try the sound a couple of times, I think. Can you try again?
We had out of the place. We had more reception whole afternoon, so we'll see how we can do it and what can be done. I did not hear the presentation of Dr. Elia, so I'll try to explain the work and the function of the liver in so many ways.
Mr. Kesh, do you have your headphone on there, or a microphone or something? Or is that the best we can get right now for sound?
No, just wait 1 second, about 2 seconds, we should be perfectly okay.
Thank you.
It's just trying to connect things in different ways.
No doubt.
We had to move.
I think that's the story of your life, is connecting things in different ways.
Is it better now? Is it better?
Try again.
Is this better now?
It is better, yeah. Once you get settled there, I think it'll be okay.
Okay, if you can hear us.
That's much better.
That's much better. Okay, as I said, I missed the presentation of Dr. Elia regarding.
If we just move the microphone a little bit away from your mouth there, it's popping right now, and then it'll be better.
That's popping now?
That's better.
Is it better now? Okay. As I said, I missed the presentation of Dr. Elia, but from the point of view of the space technology, going back to what we spoke about in the past 2-3 workshops, we see the totality of the work of the, what we call the feed section, um, as part of what we call physical part of the body, and the physical part has different facilities for supporting life. One is, as we spoke before, about the digestion system, the stomach and the intestines. And when the body produces these materials or converts the energy of what they come into the body, needs to store them, because they're not needed at the time of the eating the or digesting the material. In many cases, in majority of the cases, unknown again as part of the adding to the knowledge, it is thought that all the materials stored in the what we call the storage compartment of the body, which is the liver, comes from the body, the food which the man digests or the man eats. In reality, part of the material which are stored in the liver, which is the storage house of the physical body, comes through the conversion of the energy in the lung of the man too. So the assumption that all the materials which are in the circulation, in the lymph and in the blood, all come through the digestion system is a part which the world of science has never understood. As we spoke before in other teachings, as much material is converted from solid into a gans, and the gans through the energy, through the transfer, through the wall of the intestines into the lymph, the same amount of material is converted of different strength in the lung of the body too. So the lung and the intestines release materials in the plasmatic gravitational field strength into the lymph. Everything does not come only through the digestion. And then when these materials are released as in a plasmatic and magnetic field level, they, as they pass through or pass the wall of the liver, convert back into matter which the body does not need. So in reality, when you look at the working of the liver, is not that only the liquid of the blood which goes through the structure of the liver, which transfers the surplus material to be stored in the liver. Even the lymphs which are passing the body, the part of the liver, according to the gravitational magnetic fields which is structured within the frame of the skin of the liver, pass through the same. So all the materials are not absorbed and stored in the liver through the flow of the blood. Major part of the storage comes directly through the limbs. If you look at the position of the liver, sits immediately above the stomach and above the intestines. And if you look at the whole structure, how and where the bigger intestine is positioned, then you understand why there is a need, which has been thought up to now, that the lymph carries all that energy, and then it goes around when it becomes part of the blood, and then blood comes on deposited in the liver. Most of the deposition of the material which are absorbed through the wall of the intestine and passed on through to the lymph, immediately in the environment of the lymph within the structure of the cavity of the stomach are converted back to the matter in the gans state to the liver. It's an immediate delivery transfer. The body already through the work of the brain knows what has been passed through as magnetic gravitational field strength energy through the intestine. So it has already decided how much of it is needed for the rest of the body. Instead of the material floating around and then coming back to come through the blood to be stored in the liver, immediately at the point of dispatch through the wall of the intestine is absorbed by the liver. Now you have to understand the process of the working of the liver and the structure of the liver. As we said, the human body is contained in a vacuum condition, and in that vacuum condition, everything works on a gas basis. When you cut the liver, when you look at the structure of the liver, it's another, literally, if you touch it, if you feel it, it's a very porous gans. So what do these ganses do? In a specific structure and cavities and the pressures of the gravitational magnetic pressure through the veins through the liver, they create their own gravitational magnetic field, which through the shape and the size and the position decides what material, what gravitational field is created, which absorbs what comes from in the blood as surface material and what is in the lymph as surface material. So the extraction of the minerals and vitamins from the lymph comes through again the wall of the liver. And in that point, when the gravitational field is created at strength of the material which is needed, which are in his lymph, they immediately, as energy transfer, plasmatic magnetic field, get stored and become, in a way, through the acidity of what lives in the stomach, what is digested, they opened up the material to become plasmatic condition. Now the reverse is done. The liver converts the magnetic gravitational field of what is absorbed into a gas state ready for absorption later on. Then when the body needs it, it delivers it back into the blood to be circulating to where it needs to be done. So when, for example, you need, let's say, zinc in your body, what is in the lymph goes to the point when it's needed. What is surplus, which body knows it doesn't need, it gets stored in the liver, and then it becomes a matter. And then when the brain says, I need zinc, then it does two things. It delivers it back as a gravitational magnetic field into the blood or into the lymph back to become energy and go transferring to where it's needed. So it's very much like Amazon's. Goods come in, the computer says where it has to go, what is needed, what needs to be stored, and then the dispatch goes out. But the whole work of the liver is a storage, and the shape and the thickness and the position of the liver dictates what materials at what strength are absorbed, what it needs to be done. And if you go a step further, as we have talked in some cases about the cancer and cancer cases, then it is very clear why in majority of the cases we always see cancer in the liver as much as we see cancer in the lymph nodes. Because in the research which we done, at the moment, I was explaining this to some scientists very recently in the cancer section, is that there is an assumption that you see, for example, cancer, let's say in the stomach, or you see cancer in another organ, and then they said, oh, it's appeared metastasized in liver, or they see it in the lymph. From the research we've done and the data we have, it confirms that the cancer, let's say when it appears in intestine, has already, because it goes through the lymph condition, has already moved, has already been present in the liver and in the lymph. But according to what is received from the thymus, then it decides when it's going to manifest itself. So the hypocrisy that you have, I had a cancer in my intestine, now it has appeared in my liver and the lymph, is just a fallacy. Because cancer, when it starts, when the material has changed, the condition of the orientation of the lymph, gravitational magnetic field has changed to a cancer, it already has moved across the body, because it moves with the lymph. And then when it comes that the condition changes and thymus, through different kind of B12, which is arrives into its possession, and the lymph increases, then these materials of the higher order strength, which is what we call cancer, manifest themselves in those positions. So whenever you hear, according to what we see from our research, that now the cancer have moved to the liver, the cancer has been in the liver from the day one you saw it in the intestine. It does not move on. And this is one of the problems with the cancer treatment. Cancer treatment should start from the beginning, not only for a point where the cancer appears, but for the lymph and the liver. And once the world of science understands this position, then understand it's much easier to handle cancer. Because the same as you, let's say, eat the material which puts zinc as a plasmatic magnetic field in your lymph through your intestine, the same thing has happened with the cancer cell. So it's stored at the same time in the liver and in the lymph, which is distribution. This is, in a way, what you have in the storage, which is in your liver. When it needs to be dished out, it goes to the kitchen. You don't take the things from the storage out of the tin and just put it on the table. You send it to the kitchen to be prepared. And the kitchen of the body of the man is the lymph nodes. The food comes as a lymph, and then the kitchen decides what goes to which portion of food goes to where at what length. If somebody wants a ham or somebody wants a bread. And because the gravitational magnetic field of the cancer is always higher, they stay behind within the lymph nodes. So they show themselves always in the lymph. And this is what I will say, in any case of cancer, you never take lymph nodes out and you never touch the liver. You try to change the condition of the cancer. In a way, we have a trial case now going in US that is for the first time we have an opportunity to see if we can change cancer directly through thymus, lymph, and what we call parathyroid glands. When you understand how the three hand in hand operate, then you create the condition of gravitational magnetic field of the storage, which means, sorry, we are let's say, we are a food storage company, not a computer storage company. Computers are not kept here. So you do not accept metals in your food. So when you change the position of and the strength of the thymus and parathyroid glands, gravitational magnetic fields for cancer cells are not created in the body for them to solidify. So you do not see extension and expansion of cancer. But at the end, if you have stored something in the storage, which is the liver, it has to go somewhere. And when one of the reasons, again, that we see blockage in the work and getting the methylation getting bigger in the liver, is because at the point of the transfer of the gravitational magnetic field from the lymph into the liver, these are much stronger plasmatic magnetic fields. So they create harder tissues, harder, stronger, what we call pancreas, which they show themselves as the tissues of the liver. And then because of their higher strength, they attract more and more fields to themselves. And then they grow. And then they block because of their growth, they block the channels of the blood flow in the liver. And then in that process, as the channels grow, the cancer cells, you call it, or we call it the new cycle of cells, they block the veins, well, of blood flow through the liver. They create a backlog of blood flowing through the liver, through the veins, because now they are narrowed, they're blocked. So at the same time, because the condition has changed, not so much material can convert outside from the lymph into the matter state of the gans in the liver. So you get a backlog of material staying in the stomach intestine area, and you get a bulging of the belly. And then you see, usually in the last stages of cancer, when the liver has received or created too much conversion from the lymph into the cancer condition. One is because of the huge gravitational magnetic field. Not all, the whole environmental condition of the liver changes. So not more materials can convert through the wall of the liver from the lymphs to be stored, and from what comes from the lung conversion, and this not be able to use it, and not blood flow to be able to deliver materials out. You get a backlog of, like a traffic jam, trying to go across, but there is no channel, there is no magnetic gravitational field. The strength of the materials in the lymph allowed by the stronger fields of the cancer in the liver to be crossing the wall of the liver to be converted to become stored. And this backlog in the lymph creates the bulging of the liver, and the backlog through the blood flow through the liver at the same time. Then this becomes the last stages of the what I call cancer. In fact, in a way, we say the warehouse is full, or there is a blockage in the working of the warehouse. So the backlog goes out of it, and the outside is what we see in that condition of bulging of the stomach and everything else, which we see at the last indication of the cancer. And then we see one of the reasons, as I always say, especially with when it goes to the liver, the cancer, and we see the change of conversion into the heavier gravitational magnetic field. No patient ever dies of cancer. Cancer is a new organ. Cancer is a new, what do you call it, lump in the body. People die because this new organ, this new part, absorbs and needs a lot of energy to grow. It's like a child which is growing. So it takes a lot of energy. Death comes out of total fatigue. Lack of energy that the rest of the body cannot be. The emotional part separates from the physical part, and what we call the physical death appears. What I said is that when no one ever dies of cancer. Death by The cancer comes through the lack of energy. And the lack of energy comes because the gravitational magnetic field of these materials, which have converted into stronger cells in the liver, absorb and need more energy for their division. And in absorbing most of the energy, like a new child being born, they take energy from the totality of the body. And then the physical part, energy, is less than what, or changes the condition between the emotional and physical part of the brain. And when the balance changes, which the physical part demands more than the emotional can provide, it's like the gravitational magnetic field. Gravitational field and magnetical field change position. And then there is not much energy to be supplied to the physical part, and what we call the separation of the two soul, the emotional part and the physical happens, and that's what we call the physical death. In fact, if you separate the liver cancer, which is the indication of the absorption of huge amount of energy, because liver takes energy, takes materials from the blood, which is the source of the feeding of the emotional part of the body of the man. And then when there is a disturbance that too much energy is taken, that the brain cannot be supplied with a fast energy, then the physical part and the emotional part separate. And this working of the liver in extracting surplus materials from the blood circulation is a facility which the brain has allowed itself to make, that to guarantee its own survival. And part of the assumption up to now has been that the lung carries the energy, but that energizes only red blood cells. But in fact, at the point when the material passes through the lung, materials in the energy level from the lung are delivered to the blood at the same time too. So it's not just energizing red blood cells, but it's putting materials by conversion into the blood cell too. The world of medicine has not had the capability and understanding and the tools to measure how much is delivered as an energy of different materials into the blood. It's not just that red blood cells get energized. The cell, the red, what do you call it, the blood going through the veins, receive materials too from the lung. And most of these materials conversions are deposited in the liver, and these are the energetic gravitational magnetic fields which are the food for the emotional part of the brain and physical part of the brain for their food for conversion. We don't see calcium and other things in so many ways in the structure of the blood into the brain. But as we see physical materials being deposited in the liver, liver stores specific gravitational magnetic fields which are transferred from the lung into the blood, which these materials, in time the world of science can measure, are the materials for feeding the cells of the brain. They are in a plasmatic form and not in a gas form. And in part of the liver, there are sections which plasmas are kept for feeding the brain. This is unknown to the present world of medicine. And it's the first time we disclose such a knowledge. So, as you digest food, as you transfer the energy of the food into gravitational magnetic field plasma across the intestine and into the liver, the same conversion is done with the lung to the blood, which gets stored in the liver, which these are part of the same as what we said. The energy for the brain itself. Because we don't see any blood vessels inside the structure of the brain. So the liver stores plasmatic magnetic fields, which can and do, when is needed, can be supplied to the brain for its physical structure and energy levels. So as we've seen with the lung being partially what we call physical part, and the other part to do with the soft tissue, to do with the emotional part, liver carries the same mixture structure. So not only stores minerals or materials as we see, it stores plasmatic magnetic field energies, which through the blood circulation are fed continuously when it's short to the brain. So this is another work of the, what you call the storage capacity of the liver. You got to realize, if so much energy can cross the wall of the intestine to go to become lymph, how come so much energy? We just pick up the energy just to charge the red blood cells. What happened to the rest of the energy? Partially is deposited to the lymph, and partially deposited back into the blood vessel by crossing the wall of the lung and the blood vessel, and deposited in the liver in a plasmatic form, not in a matter form. So it never solidifies, never gansicized, as I call it, never become a gans of the matter. But within the structure, the whole structure of the liver is in a nano state gans material, which means, as you've seen in your reactors, is nano layered, and in these sections plasmas are kept that they do not touch the nano layer structure of the body. It's just kept in the magnetic field, and they are weaker in so many ways than the nano layering internally which holds them, and in some cases are stronger in the center. So as is needed, the energy is released through the blood vessels into the brain for its energy consumption. It's the same surplus is kept in the liver, and it's not all matter state, there is plasma matter. And then in the future, scientists, when they have more sophisticated detection system, they can reveal which energy is kept. We have the same kind of structure as vitamin B and C and D and whatever in plasmatic magnetic field, the strength for the structure of the plasma of the brain. This is how the brain is fed. This is how brain continuously receives energy, not only through the blood circulation of the red blood cells, but the plasmas which convert to what the brain needs through the blood circulation itself. And at the same time, the flow of the lymphs and the blood and through neural system, everything is controlled, how much is needed to be reached up. So your liver actually does not, it is not a source of energy, it's a source, it's just a warehouse. And it's a warehouse which receives three different, what do you call it, ways of supply. One, energy through the lymph, which transfers across the wall of it, and then as it changes, as we've seen, it becomes gans. One through, for matter part, through the blood, and then the third part is in a plasmatic condition, again through the blood and through the lung itself, to cross the wall of the lung, through the diaphragm into the liver. So the liver, the way it is positioned, stores energy in a form of matter and plasma, from lymph coming up and from lung coming down. And that's why the liver is positioned in this strategic position. Is the storage for both type of plasmatic gravitational magnetic field which come from the food and from the air. And in so many ways in the future, scientists will unravel this condition that, again, if you look, going back to your nanotechnology, going back to production of GaNs materials, the way you had the nitrogen and oxygen and carbon and hydrogen from the air, their gravitational magnetic field, in coming in touch with the water, in creating gravitational magnetic field in the environment of the salt, they became matter. The same process happens in the lung of the man. You mix the air internally, but in a plasmatic form, in the salt of the liver, with what comes from the left side. One side transfers material into energy into GaNs for the physical part, and one part from the lung for the, what we call the emotional part or the brain part, control system. So liver is not just one piece which goes, what blood goes through it, because the fields transfer from both sides to it. And that's why it's positioned where you see it, just under the lungs and above the intestines. Both conversion system of the lung and intestines feed plasmatic magnetic fields into it, and it transfers it into plasma condition Holt situation, or into a matter condition in GaNs state for the physical part. And then it converts it back through the same way. So we understand the work of the liver is not just what you call a fancy work. And all the physical structures we see, all the definitions of different walls, different physical things, these are all there to create different gravitational magnetic fields for the composite materials which arrive into the liver. It's very much, if you have a small package, you need the small shells. If you have a bigger package, you need the bigger shells. If you have a huge pallet, you need the wider shells. These structures create to a condition to what they are going to hold and what they're going to store and how much of it they're going to store. This is the reality about this working of the liver. A warehouse which continuously receives material and then continuously sends materials out. At the same time, it has a very good bookkeeping system. And the minute the food enters the mouth, or the drink, or the air enters the lung, automatically the liver has been told what gravitational magnetic fields expected to create to absorb surplus materials which are coming. And in so many ways, in the process of the teaching of the health side, as we come to it, as we explained before in some health sections, if you, for example, wash your mouth, which is the biggest problem at the moment with the toothpaste, then you give a false feeling to the liver that these materials and minerals are on the way to the stomach. So the liver gets the message immediately that I do not need to absorb these kind of materials which are coming, or I need to absorb fresh materials. I'll release the old one. So let's say the body says I've got 1 gram of, let's say, zinc coming through what is in the mouth. So the liver says I'm receiving 1 gram of zinc, so I have so much capacity for, let's say, 10 gram. I'm going to have 1 gram extra. So at that instant, the liver releases gravitational magnetic field of zinc for 1 gram into the blood or into the lymph back in a process condition. And then what happens? You wash your mouth, you wash the zinc out, and by that time already the liver has released 1 gram of zinc into your blood system. Now the balance has been damaged in the liver, because now the liver needs another 1 gram, which has not arrived, but they thought it was coming, and now it's short. So what's going to happen? This information, lack of zinc, goes immediately to the brain, and the brain has to keep a bookkeeping balance. It gives instruction to parathyroid glands, whatever comes nearest material next time to the stomach through the lymph has to be converted into the zinc level to go to cover that 1 gram of zinc. So now you see deficiency of zinc because of the process of toothpaste, through the process of you expecting but not that arriving. And a lot of new diseases are created through this, what I call toothpaste, or even the smell taste. In so many ways, it's what we call, it's the same process of bulimic. People who are bulimic and they put a finger in their mouth and they throw up. The problem they cause is not that they go slim. They create a confusion in the liver process. Because by the time they chew the food in front of you in the restaurant on the table, the body knows so much meat is coming in. So if there are materials which the what you call body does not need but is now coming as surplus, the old stock has to be got rid of. So immediately the liver releases these plasmatic magnetic fields into the lymph, because they have a date, expiry dates on them. They get used first, or they put them in the blood. But what happened? The girl says, "Excuse me, I have to go to toilet." What does she do? She goes in toilet, puts her finger in her mouth, she vomits everything out. Now the body has lost so much minerals, composite minerals which the food was supposed to reach to it, is depleted. At the same time, what I explained, that the emotional part, which is to do with the lung, has created a different rate of breathing, because now both the plasmatic magnetic field and the gans of the material in the blood are depleted, because they are not there as it was thought is coming, because with the convulsion you create a repulsion and rejection of certain plasmatic fields. I explain this in the future. So we see damage to the emotional part and the physical part due to the misinformation at the warehouse, which is the liver. And then because huge amount of plasmatic magnetic field are released, then you find materials which are not needed, converted to and rejected by the body. Then you get depression. Then you get psychological damages, which goes with bulimia and the rest. And the other point is because the body has gone through the convulsion and rejected the food, body goes and looks for what it can convert for emergency from whatever it is there. Then you get all sorts of problems with this kind of behavior. So in the development of the new technology, what we call plasma technology, because we put psychological and energetic material condition into the water, the minute the body touches the body, the mouth or in the lung, energy is transferred and converted. So the girl cannot vomit, cannot create convulsion. So by this method, you continuously support the body to become stable, because you make the psychological plasma within the blood cells available in the liver constant. Brain thinks correct, behavior becomes correct, and you see people walk away from bulimic condition and anorexia in Keshe Foundation development technology. And we've done this so many times. This is a new release of technology which comes within a matter of next few weeks for people who suffer from this kind of anxieties. They can get in touch with the foundation, and then the process will go through the health section. because you cannot vomit the plasma which is already been absorbed in the body in a direct way. The minute the liquid touches the mouth, the water from the containers or the breathing, the conversion, conformation and delivery is done because it's in a plasmatic condition. This is a major breakthrough in the world of science. This is what we see people with a shortage of, lack of oxygen at the point of birth, which the brain is not developed fully, recover in a very fast way with the developments which we have created through the same understanding. We support the liver, there's no shortage of mineral. We support the plasmatic magnetic fields of the plasmas in the liver. So the brain starts developing and the child walks out as normal. That's why we said in 2 years, children in 4 years, 5 years behind, they come and become normal people. Because you support the liver in the storage of the material as a GANs and the plasma for the brain. As I said before, we have opened our books. Now we have the opportunity to establish hospitals and organizations that people and masses will come. In opening the health section, which hopefully the hospital will sign agreements within the next few days, then we'll make a very special announcement for certain conditions and governments and countries. What this means, we give priority to the sections which we have seen huge developments, that we know how we control the operation of the liver. And through it we control the operation of the growth of the brain cells, that it brings a stability between physicality and emotional part, between the lung and the liver. That's why when you join the Keshe Foundation health process, we give you a breathing system and a water, which both energies brings balance into the liver. This is what the Belgian authorities never understood. It's just a bunch of magnets we opened up. But the plasmatic conditions which is created and the materials which is put in there, and it was unknown, now we open the books, creates this condition. The same with the cancer. Hopefully, if we succeed in the trial which is started in the United States in the past 2 or 3 days in regarding cancer, if you are successful, hopefully you will see it on the on our published papers. Because no mother should die with young children when the knowledge is so easy to reach. Understanding the storage capacity. Everything to live and survive is in the liver. This depends how you call it and how you can control it. You don't need to touch the liver. You just change the information which comes to liver, what to hold and what not to hold, and what is not surplus and what is wrongly assumed to be in the stock. You correct the bookkeeping in the storage, then you know what you have and what you need to order. And this is the new science of health in the space. And as we said, we will make announcements in a very, very rapid way. We will accept anything up to about 10,000-20,000 people a year through the health section. And we give priority to the ones which we know 100% improvement can be achieved in the time frame we put. Because we understand the operation and the storage of the energy and GANs as a material in the liver. And in their operation, you cannot run a fleet of, trucks or buses without any fuel in their tanks and no storage to support the buses while they're on the road. It's the same thing with the liver and the working of the human body. Liver is one of the most important parts. Without it, life cannot exist. And this is one of the reasons that when you take your liver out, part of it grows back again. Because if the storage capacity is not kept by the brain, then brain will suffer and the physicality will suffer somewhere else. So it replenishes itself. And then if you understand the regrowth of the liver, you can translate the knowledge into the growth of the ligaments, arms or legs and toes and fingers. Then you understand the body of a man has not forgotten how to reproduce in a rapid way. It's the knowledge which we see. The doctors can tell you they can cut a piece of liver off from the body due to whatever reasons, damages or whatever accidents, and it grows back again to its normal size in a given time. The knowledge is there. How come body can reproduce in one part and not in the others? It's just understanding the process and carrying the information from liver to the other parts, that if you lose a leg, you can create a condition that it can grow. The structure of the foot is less complicated than the structure of the liver to reproduce. And if the brain of the man has remembered how to do the liver, it most surely remembers how to do the foot at the same speed. This is what we need to teach and to understand more and more when we come to the plasma condition and understanding of the GANs and energy transfer. One of the problems with the world of science is, as I always say, in the body of the man, the doctors assume everything in the state of matter in the body of the man, which is actually in the state of GANs. This is where the breakthroughs in the science will come. We open life onto the doors of the education, of the health and the space, the way we done. I have seen one of the most, not a gesture, but of the biggest moves by the foundation was the way Armand and Marco opened the patents or designs of all their systems in public line on the foundation forum and other places. Because knowledge has no price if you cannot save the life of a man. And if, for example, these reactors in the extension of the knowledge in the coming months are miniaturized the way Arman has done, and Marco have released it, then we can make dynamic systems which can work for the liver and work half for lung and half for lymph, that the liver can receive enough energy to exist and to survive. As other scientists look and show us things, and we saw a guy called Mike last week showing us with a small knowledge how he's created the ring, how he's done the seed, and how he has made the GANs in the bottom. So openly. Knowledge was treasured as a money. Now knowledge sharing has become the work of the what I call normal man. And now at the same time, we're aware in the background, there are people who are trying to access these people who come online and explain their technology to try to make all sorts of problems which they made for the foundation. There should be no fear in sharing knowledge, the way I've just done in past half an hour about the liver. We open new doors, and these new doors have to be understood by the man of science in that field. So, in the coming time, we can make dynamic systems which replicates the work of the liver. In coming time, understanding the extension of the combination of the GANs and energy, you use the GANs to store the energy, which is, in fact, very much your free plasma in your what do you call it, transparent reactors, dynamic reactors. Your GANs materials are the physical part of the liver, and what you absorb and you hold in the center as a free plasma is the energy which is held for your emotional part of the brain. Now you see how it works. The GANs in the state of matter, which is your liver. If you go and open a liver and start touching it, you will feel the same structure as the GANs. And then in these gaps, they are where the energy are kept for the emotional part and the brain part. That's why in a lot of culture of the nations, we consume liver. Because not only gives the minerals which are already converted ready, it releases the energies which is in them for the brain too. This is how we have to understand the new breakthrough in the world of the science of the health. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cash. I'm just wondering now whether we should move into the Spanish workshop, or we can take some questions for another few minutes here.
We take a couple of questions and we give an extension to the children, what do you call it, to the Spanish workshop at the end.
Okay, that sounds good.
I think we have to move this 2 hours of the health to 2.5 hours, because we can't usually finish it within 2 hours.
Yeah, it's quite involved, all right, and it tends to get into some subject that you like to expound on more. So.
Let me explain to you what's going to happen. There's a part of the process is that every Tuesday afternoon and every Thursday morning in the course of the teachings of the open teaching, we will open the doors of the foundation, University SSI, for public to be able to attend these kind of presentations to public. So in the coming time, you can attend like this session live in SSI. And you can be part of the audience. You don't need to be. If you want to be, you can be part of it, or in the Thursday mornings. So we try to bring the knowledge directly to public. Now that we have set up the structure in the university, not only for the students, because they are there, they can listen, be part of it. We open the doors on Tuesday afternoons and Thursday mornings to public. That public can attend these, what do you call it, these kind of workshops. And the structure, most probably it'll be set in a way that we have a podium in one lecture room and seats. And between the podium and the seats, there is a gap of, let's say, about 10 meters, which are tables and will be set that you can physically see the system. So when we describe something, you can actually get physically involved or ask questions about what's on the table. It's not just on the internet. So it's been said that instantly every development can be explained, or whatever we plan in advance of teaching. Auditorium plus the what they call demonstration tables are part of the lab of lectures. We are opening with this new opportunity, new ways of teaching where people, public can be part of the teaching. Now, any questions?
I did have a question regarding the liver and how alcohol or sugar would affect the liver, and in the context of what you brought up already, with its functioning with the feeling part of the brain and so on. Could you expound on that a bit?
You have to look at the structure of what alcohol and sugar is, and what they deliver, in what level they deliver, and what comes to be done with them. As I said, a liver is a storage for gans and plasma for the what they call the physical part of the body, and the emotional part, which is the brain part and physical part of the brain. So what you do when you drink alcohol or sugar, what is the chain of alcohol? It's hydrogen. It's the nearest things to a free plasma. So you increase the huge amount of plasmatic condition energy into and stored within the structure of the liver. And at the same time, you create or you absorb and you bring in huge amount of the carbon, which is the connection line in the structure of the what you consume. Now you put the two together, what's going to happen? You make connections between different gases due to the conductivity of the carbon as a plasma. It's a structure. It's gravitational magnetic field. And then you release huge amount of energy in the plasmatic current, which just touches and is at the level of the plasma, which is it touches the brain of the man. As I explained, Liver stores plasma from the lung for the emotional part and physical part of the brain, and the lymph provide the what you call the physicality part from the intestines, and what the lymph is comes through the lymph. So what you do by drinking alcohol, you immediately add through the wall into the structure of the lymph of the, what do you call it, plasmatic magnetic field of the hydrogen, which is nearest to the plasmatic condition, which immediately gets absorbed and makes available. And as you have such a plasma available, the liver releases it, the surplus from the warehouse, which immediately the energy of it is released through to the brain part, and then it creates the chaos because it's too much in there, nobody knows what is to be done. And then what it does, because of the high energy, it affects the position where it arrives, what we call the behavior problem, which is energy, which is for the psychological part, which is the emotional part, and then it appears itself with drunkenness and everything else which you see. Because too much energy is released in the plasmatic condition into the plasma environment, the storage of the liver, and that immediately affects. And partially, what energy released by alcohol and sugar, due to its plasmatic condition, because of the hydrogen, which is the common denominator energy in the structure of this planet, immediately moves through the vortex, as we spoke in the last lectures and the one before, through the talk of Dr. Elia, directly to the southern end of the hemisphere of the brain, into the emotional part, which is a surplus, and it shows itself in the physical part. And then it's so much energy and nobody knows where to go, and too much information, and what you see as a drunkenness. So the energy goes through the liver, partially, release of it, the other part as it goes through the body. And then, on the other hand, when you are drunk, due to the condition which is, or when you take alcohol, the condition surplus energy which is available, body becomes relaxed. Because it receives too much, so it has so much surplus, that's why you take alcohol to calm down or to relax yourself. You have to understand the process. And then you see the breathing changes. In change of the breathing, you bring different kind of energies into the blood through your lung, and then the whole process goes on. One of the reasons we see a lot of cancer with the people who are alcoholic and liver cancer is due to the, what you call, the nano layers of the carbon on its own, which creates a condition that no fuel can pass, and then it creates its own solidification and the rest of the problems we see with the liver cancer, what we call the problem with alcoholism. These in detail we can go into this subject, but the same thing is when you become allergic to, like, fuel. If you touch petroleum or anything oil-based, which I know you suffer from, is again the conversion of the energies at a hydrogen level and the amino acid level, which goes into the lymph and into the breathing. If you breathe it, it happens through your lungs, direct conversion to storage. It's the same position I explained with bulimic. When you put a finger in the body, the liver thinks you receive a material and it releases the surplus and there is nothing to replace it, then it gets the parathyroid glands to convert other materials to what it needs. When you drink or you inhale, the same kind of conversion goes through your lungs and it gets absorbed to the liver. And the liver stores the wrong plasmatic magnetic fields. In so many ways, allergy to materials or allergy to condition, it is psychosomatic. And it can be sorted through the emotional than actually the physicality, or both together. We've done this quite a few times, but it's in the petroleum allergy is a very complicated, because you bring allergy to the minerals which are in the, what I call, not bacteria, but amino acids which are created in different conditions in the depth of the earth. then you R, what do you call it, R amino acids from above the surface is different than the amino acids which is created at the bottom. That's why we see a lot of allergies with different kind of chemicals and petroleum nowadays. Because even though they are fat, even though they are oil, but they are created in a different condition, and not all of them from the air we breathe, which creates amino acids, which is our body is created out of. The same condition of oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen is created in the depth of the earth. They lead to different kind of amino acid, even though it looks like amino acids, they are oil based, but they are in fact, they are different energy. They are like isotopes, which are different isotopes of the proteins which are created above on the earth, on the surface.
Sounds like we're better off leaving them in the earth than
More or
bringing them up
less.
to the surface.
More or less, more or less. It's just a different environment. It's a creation
Right.
of matters.
It probably performs a good function in that environment, the oil-based layer. It's probably, like the face of the earth, you might say. Our faces have an oily surface that has a protective barrier effect. Is that not true of the earth as well? It's a little off from the
It's all
liver,
the
perhaps,
time,
but
constantly. It's all the time, constantly. If you did not have the rain, you wouldn't wash the oil which sits on the stones and everything else. The moisture, even so little, continuously converts what do you call it, materials to oil. That's why if you understand in so many ways the fallacy about the oil production, if you're looking like in Saudi Arabia or in Texas, in the dry conditions, conversion of the oil is very, very rapid because there's not much moisture and it just continuously moves in. This is something which in the future we explain, because these kind of things leads to diseases. When we talk about diseases and bacteria, then it'll be explained how this happens.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Perhaps we should wrap it up here so we can get into the Spanish workshop. Does that sound
Is there any other
appropriate?
question?
Let me check the live stream.
Because I don't see the live stream. I'm just sitting on the Skype. And I don't even see the text in Skype.
There was one question here that says, does the GANs mix between each other inside the body or the liver, or they always remain the same with the same? Or in other words, are there some kind of GANs that can be complementary to one another kind, and some will give life to a third kind of composite
Yes,
GANs?
of course. Yes, they do. It's gravitational. GANs is gravitational magnetic field package. So they create different environments. They always not only lead to holding one, but at the same time, the gravitational magnetic field leads to creation of the other environments and conditions for existence of other ganses, or what you call tissues, if it's the right way.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Oh, we have an alarm going off.
We have to move into the car to be able to escape the barriers in the building.
You say you had to break into a car? That's what it sounds like.
We had to escape into the car.
Okay, right, yes.
Because it is part of the whole thing. We have a lot of problem with reception. We had the security lapse through our own fault. Very recently, I was informed by our security people this morning. We knew it for past 2-3 months, but now we see the confirmation. We know how it's been done. and we will put it forward, but that the others will not get trapped by the same thing and same people. They have planted systems into our operation, and so as I said, because we are very transparent, most of the national security is on Keshe Foundation forums and websites and on our computer. So these people thought they are very clever. They have placed bugs and the controls into my computer and the tower and the Wi-Fi, and they thought we've been watching them, we know who they are, we are monitoring all of them. So we will see in time. We have no fears of what is happening or what they are, but this is part of the structure. We'll explain this very soon. As I said about Mike, the people who are trying to get in touch with him, we are monitoring it, and other people are monitoring that they come in as a question, the way they approached the Italian Keshe Foundation, and then they said, oh, there was a glue in it, they made a mistake. They knew we tracked them down. So we've been shut down today deliberately by the Alliance, not for the workshop to go on, thanks to wisdom of you and the others in the forum. You carried on till we could link up. But there is a new health section added to the Keshe Foundation. In the coming days we'll announce it. That we will announce it most probably in the next Keshe Foundation Health, or in the Thursday if we finish the agreements and sign the documents. Not here, but it'll be done. It's already been agreed and signed by the people on our behalf. And then the health will look totally different in the next few weeks. The outside of the Keshe Foundation. Not only we teach, now you can actually go to the health centers and hospitals to receive the whole process, and we only accept what we know at the beginning. 100% success in our work.
Sounds very
it's
good,
a good
Mr.
news
Keshe.
for worldwide. It's a very good news. We'll see what happens.
All right.
Don't
great.
forget, I wrote to the Keshe Foundation guys today. We do not treat, we do not cure. The Keshe Foundation process on the health side is processing. We allow your body to process its own problem. Curing and treating is the job of the doctors.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you want to carry on, or you go switch off to the Spanish side?
We'll switch off this workshop and start up the Spanish workshop. Okay. So that'll be a new conversation.
I have to wait for you to call me.
Yes.
Okay. I'll wait for you to call me back.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. That was a great description there of the liver today.
Okay. Thank
Bye for
you very
now.
much, and have a nice day. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.
And bye to everyone on the Skype call and on the live stream as we wrap up the 17th Keshe Health Teaching Workshop. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Hepatic portal vein from the nerve branch, from have inside the bile ductus, and also the lymph vessel. And because of that separation, actually the liver have 8 main lobes. And how you see, it is again pyramidal structure of the organ. On the right side, you see circulatory system inside, how it's make some kind of net. And what I told you, that is so important, that have inside of the organ connection between the oxygen and non-oxygen blood. And on that sense, the liver is the main filter of our blood. In the structure of the liver, in the microscopic view, this is the lobula, and how you see it is little down on the left side is so similar shape of the reactor. This is the central structure of the liver, each lobule, and the anatomy of the lobule actually is the important for all the functions of the liver. Architecture of the lobula and how they positioning to each other make possible liver to have 500 functions. Then we go to the next slide. This is number 8. For that slide is more microscopic view of each lobula. And in the middle of that structure, how you see, this is the same hexagonal structure. In the middle of that structure, lobula, we have hepatic vein. And around it's surrounded from the branches of portal vein. And how I told you, this is the flow of non-oxygenated blood, but full with nutrients. And each branch of portal vein goes with artery from the hepatic artery and with bile duct and the lymph vessel also. This is the main structure of the liver. This is the main part of it. And how each part, how each lobe positioning to other one, organize all the functions inside. On the right side, you see how all the vessel inside.
Welcome everybody to the 17th Cash Health Teaching Workshop. The topic for this workshop will be the liver as the MagGrav storage bank. And today, once again, we'll be with Dr. Elia Kostova, who will guide us through the wonders of the body, the anatomy part of the liver, and bringing that together with the idea of the MagGrav storage bank. And then we'll hear from Mr. Mayran Kesh of the Kesh Foundation, and he will take time to show us his point of view on the MagGrav aspects of that. Okay, let's get into the workshop here. Ellie, are you there?
Yes, hello everybody. It's me, Elia, and nice to be with you at the 7th Health Teaching Workshop. Today the subject is liver, and liver like a MagGrav storage bank in our body. We start with the first slide. It's a slide to remember you where is the position of the liver. How you know, we have abdomen cavity, and inside of abdomen cavity we have two star formations, how we spoke in the previous workshop. And the liver, this is the organ which belongs to the star formation, organized between the liver, stomach, part of the large intestine, and the spleen, output system, and the pancreas. In that star formation, which is like inner star formation with other one formed between the kidney and bladder, the liver play a role like a heart of the star formation in the chest area, how it's heart and the two lungs. In that formations, the lungs will be stomach and the part of the large intestine. So the liver is, how we say it, this is so similar like a shape, like color, and function regarding circulation like a heart. Also, during the explanation of the workshop, you will see they have origin in the embryology on the place where they are so close to each other. In that star formation, place it inside of abdomen cavity. The BZ is will facing from the right to left, and how we say we need that formation just to make the vortex, because in that area we digest material state of matter, solid matter, and the function of digestive system, and to convert the solid matter state to the gas state. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Next slide, where is a storage base for glucose from glycogen, for vitamin A, D, B12, and vitamin K, iron, and copper. And how you see the main elements what the liver store is iron and copper. And I think you're not surprised about that. The liver is responsible for immune system. In the liver is presented the reticular endothelium system, what is the part of our immune system. Also produce the albumin. This is the main protein which support the major osmolar homeostasis in our blood serum. And synthesis of angiotensin. This is the main substance which regulate our blood pressure. So this is the less main functions of the liver. How I told you, there are more than 500. Then we go to the next slide. Now I'm on the 7. Thank you. Yeah, on the 7. Thank you. 7. Okay. On the 7th slide is visible for you how goes the circulation to the liver. So you see that the circulation comes from aorta, feeding all the splanchnial organs inside of abdomen area, and through them, like in venous part of the circulatory, vein part of the circulatory, go inside of the liver in the place of sinusoid, and from aorta directly with a hepatic artery goes the oxygen flow of the blood. And then after convert of all the blood flows inside of the liver in the sinusoid, all the blood go through the vena cava inferior and to the right part of the heart. So this is one more connection between two-star formation and actually the hearts of two-star formations in thoracic area and in the abdomen area. Then we go to the 8th slide. The 8th slide is anatomical view of the liver, and mainly the liver separates to the left and right lobe, and one more which is behind, more close to the kidney and renal gland. Also have inside of the right and left lobe separation in more small lobes. That separation is regarding the circulation system inside of the liver. Each of that small 8 lobes is fed from hepatic artery, from a vein part, from is embryology of the liver. In the embryo, how you see, in the 36th week of embryo development appears the liver on the foregut tube in embryo. On the left side, you see how I told you the origin place of liver and heart, they are so close to each other. actually they face each other, and how you see they face in the same way the thalamus. So mostly of the hearts, how we call the hearts in star formations, they are on the line even in embryology state and facing each other. From the beginning, you see on the embryo, the shape of heart and shape of liver, they are so similar. On the left side, it's visible for you the foregut and the origin place of liver, gallbladder, the bile duct, and the pancreas and the duodenum. They're on the line, which consider the common function in digestive and in digestive system and metabolic function for the solid matter what we use in our oldest age, because from the beginning, how you know, we start with foods, how I told you, and then we go to the liquid state of milk, and then we start to use solid state of matter through our digestive system. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Next slide. It's explanation of the function of the liver. This is the main solid organ in our body and have nearly 500 different functions. And I just put several of them on the slide, which is important for you to understand the main function of the liver. And the liver, it's behave like a solid organ and also like a gland. This is so important to know. So we start with the blood supply. Actually, liver have supplying of the blood from two systems. This is from the hepatic portal vein and from hepatic arteries. And hepatic portal vein supply to liver 75% of the blood, and this is blood is collected from all the splanchnial organs. This is organs inside of abdomen cavity and the organ which is in lower part of our body. All that vein blood collected inside of the vena porta go inside of the liver through the hepatic portal vein. In other hand, the liver get the blood flow from the aorta through the hepatic arteries. So the blood supply to the liver is from two parts, from vein and from artery part of our circulatory system. And this is important to know because it is supplying for the nutrient materials to the liver, and in other hand with supplying the oxygen to the liver. Then this is the biliary flow. The liver, this is the place where our bile was origin, and the supply through the biliary duct and to the common duct of the biliary system and the pancreas. They go inside of the duodenum through the ampulla vateri. Have a lot of synthesis function. Liver, this is the place of synthesis of amino acid, carbohydrate. This is like synthesis and all the metabolism of carbohydrates. In Latin language, more common is gluconeogenesis, glycogenesis, and glucogenesis. This is different state of metabolism of carbohydrates. Inside of the liver is also happen protein metabolism, lipid, all of the coagulation factors. They origin from the liver. Coagulation factors, this is the factors which support your coagulation of the elements of your blood. Also, we have a feeding system to the fetus in the first trimester of the embryo development of the fetus, and This is the place where starts to producing the red blood cells, and after the first trimester of embryology, the bone marrow take a main role of producing the blood cells. Liver, this is the place where produce the bile. This is the main liquid what contain all the enzymes needed to digest digesting of the solid matter of state in our digestive system. Insulin growing factor. This is important growing factor is not only for insulin like a hormone, but for all the development of our human body after we born. Thrombopoietin is a important peptide which protect and support the function of the bone marrow. Other function is the breakdown systems which are presented in the liver. This is the system for hormones, bilirubin, detoxification of the toxic substance and the drugs. Also convert the ammonium to urea, and how you know the ammonium is the most toxic substance for our brain. Other function of the liver, this is the place